Hi YouTube, I hope you're doing well. I'm having a pretty good day. I shared Israel News Live yesterday. Um, a Hebrew speaking Jewish man, scholar, that found the scriptures in Hebrew to try and reach some of the rabbi that are denying the Christ spirit and how um, the seed of Abraham, that are the nations that spread out, that are us, aren't the ones when he was called Abram, not Abraham, before he left his father's house and was to leave his son behind and make his own nations, that the nations would be great around the world, and that seed of Abraham would be guided with the Christ spirit. um, Stephen goes into great depth in the scriptures to prove this and to the rabbi, and they probably aren't going to like it, but it is the way it is. So, yeah. Doug and I this morning were talking about um, all Native Americans that we've known and his experience on some of the reservations around, and you know, um, how interesting that is, and the way they'll get along with white people, but you got to be pretty special to go on their reservation type of thing. He was talking about how he had given somebody a ride home, and this little old 85-year-old grandma, just tiny, was beating on his truck window telling him to get off her land. And he said, and he thought the window was going to break. It was on I think a 86 Ford pickup, a little truck. And he thought that window was going to break. She was vicious. Well, yeah, the only land that was purchased was by whales, by any white person, and they literally bought Manhattan Island. That's the only American land that was purchased by any white person at any time from any natives, and they were the Algonquin Cree that were around that New York area and up into Canada and the whole eastern seaboard, coming across into the west and Canada, and they're the original indigenous of this land. The other ones that have darker pigment are mixed with African and Spanish blood. One stems from the Incas, and the other are more Aztec, coming out of Mexico. Then the Incas would be coming out of South America. That mixed, and they were a Polynesian and African mix that had come over into the Americas, and they are not even the original. So I just thought I'd give you a little history lesson. But we were talking about experiences that we had. I said, how wild would it be, not just if all grandmas in this nation got together, but Native American grandmas finally had had enough of the warring nature of the people around them. Well, that's like take no prisoners, no nonsense type of attitude. You know, I am so serious. I hardly have words for that one. And that's not even the young people, that's the elders. They're not a violent people, but you don't want to walk on their land uninvited. So yeah, just things we had been through. Doug more than I. I've seen a lot of natives, aside from his best friend and who he called his brother, our friend Jerome. But besides Jerome, I've seen a lot of Jerome's brothers and cousins and different people um, considering taking Doug's life just because of the color of his skin and hanging around with the red people, you know. Nothing ever happened, but it's not like they didn't want to, and I really can't blame them. Do you? I don't. The only land that was ever, but it's like somebody walked in your house, said, "This is mine." And then nobody ever fought for you for that reason or stuck up for you for that reason. That's why I just won't never be quiet about it. Doug's like that too. We were both sitting in history class back in the day and we're thinking, nobody discovered this land. There was already people here. Can't discover something when there's already occupants, you know. Gee, I just discovered your car and now it's mine. And nobody's going to say nothing to you. I'll just take it, even if it's brand new. It's mine now. Nobody really gets that feeling of the whole thing of how the natives let you live in peace on their land. But yet, over on the Gaza Strip, the whole thing's rubble. This is my advice. You two tribes of that Canaanite bloodline, the Cain that slew Abel with a rock, have now blown up your whole city. And yeah, we know you want to rebuild your old structures and what you're doing with the water over there. And some of us are pretty bright on that whole thing. Um, Once you pick up those rocks and fight with the rubble like you're used to killing your brother with a rock, and stop asking my country for armaments that we don't believe in. You're the bloodline that kills. We're not. Don't enlist the people of America to fight your bloody wars with your murder money. That's my suggestion. Cheers, everybody. That would solve everything, wouldn't it? At least from my viewpoint. Because they're lying. And it's going to be proven. The more people that understand that who they really are, if they're calling for any kind of wars, you already know who they are. It's the end of it. They can make all the excuses for their whiny baby genocide bullshit. And a lot of it is bullshit. And that's going to be proven too. Actually, the amount of people that were said to be involved, it's not true. The biggest genocide on the planet, there's two of them. The Native Americans, but before that was the Africans. This is a fact. So, anyway. And the English and the German, and they're all the same. In fact, my maiden name that stems from Sweden can also be found in Germany and in England. The same with Doug's last name, Wiest. You think it's German? No, it's not. Before that, it was actually Wise. It was Phoenician, and they are German and English, and into the Czech Republic type of bloodlines. So, yeah, anyway, the Slavic nations, like the Ukraine and whatnot, that's them that say they are Jews but do lie. I'm not saying there aren't any that practice Judaism. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the initial bloodline of those people. That's who they are. Anyway, I do believe that we should straighten up our own country and be the true leaders for the rest of the world. If you believe in war, I'd say go move where the wars are then and fight them. Have fun, you know. The rest of us don't believe in that. Why should we have to suffer with your sins? There's no justice in that. I'm here to give people liberty in my mind. What I'm all about is helping you out of your prison, helping you to be free from the things that you've been taught that are not true. And I really do care that much. I really don't know if it's because of my mixed blood. I really don't know if it's because of that or my soul that has no heritage. Um, I'd probably say it's the latter one that drives me in a peaceful process instead of the warring nature. Could you imagine if I was backing a warring nation? And how horrible would I look at 65 years old as a woman in the United States of America calling for the younger people to take up arms and go fight in some religious war over a piece of land? I would look like pretty much a low life. If that's you, well, I just named you, you know. Oh well. Can you change who you are? Well, probably, you know. Depends on how badly you want to fit in the in crowd instead of the ones that were ousted, you know. Depends on if you hold peace sacred or violence. Gotta weigh the scales there, baby. You know. Oh, yeah. We might get a phone call. I'm waiting. Doug's tractor is stuck again, and the neighbor's gonna bring his big bad tractor and help us get it out. So not for free, but lucky that anybody would even do that, you know, that we could call on people. But I did send them some cheese that we had. That's really good by a creamery, which reminds me of the land of milk and honey. Doesn't seem to be in a desert of the promised land that God promised the seed of Abraham. Milk and honey. Sounds like a dairy state to me in the United States, not the middle of a desert. Makes sense, doesn't it? So, who are the lost tribes that are spoken about? Yes, that is us. That's what I'm telling you. Abraham left his father's house. And that's metaphorically too. It's like when God commands you to leave your father's house, if he were like, God doesn't want your mind to be around certain types of people, whether they're your blood or not, he instructs us to leave our father's house and leave our brother or our son behind, whatever it takes, if that's what we're instructed to do. And that's what Abram was instructed to do. And then God named him Abraham in honor of doing what he was told. And that's how we all got here in the promised land of milk and honey. And like I said, no, there is not dairy cattle out in the middle of the desert. That is not considered the land of milk and honey. No, no, no flippin' way. Oh, just right across the border, have you ever tasted Wisconsin cheese? If you know what I'm talking about. Oh my God, that's the best stuff. I mean, it's award winning all over the world. Like their um cheddar cheeses, for instance, and their mozzarella is phenomenal. And baby Swiss, and I mean their creameries that we have. Just the dairy cattle right around where I live tells me that this is the land of milk, and the beekeepers around me, honey. Somehow over in Gaza, I don't see in Jerusalem the land of milk and honey, unless they're buying it from somebody like us, for instance, or maybe the Irish or the Swiss, places that have milk and honey, not sand and dust and rubble. Pick up your stones and slay your brother again. Don't ask everybody else to do it for you. So if they want everybody to be like them, but the peacemakers will be called the children of God. End of story. you know. Anyway, I gave Doug a deep dive history lesson on the bloodlines in America this morning, and how the natives traveled and who they intermarried with, and yeah, like in Canada, a lot of it's the French, the English, the Welsh, and the Scottish. And in the United States has a lot to do with the Welsh and the Dutch and the German and the Danes, um, and the other European countries, of course, like English and whatever. But coming up from the south, you would have the Phoenician bloodlines, the Aztecs, Incas, Mayas, them bloodlines that turned into like I always get it wrong, um, Senetal. I do believe in those tribes that are mixed with Phoenician blood and African blood. And the ones coming up from Mexico are Spanish, African, um, like Navajo or Aztec, um, Pueblo, Blackfoot, those type of tribes that traveled north from Mexico. So, and I know my studies weren't from my schooling in public school. No, they were from Jesuit documents of the bloodline of the Holy Grail that they kept track of this whole time that I studied, with their banners and family crests and names and how they moved and who they are and all that. So I would have a really deep understanding of them that say they are, but won't honor the Christ bloodline, the seed of Abraham, David's offspring. That's the Holy Grail. That's who we are in America. Those people, the people that were pursued and chased all over the world, because the other ones were murderous and lazy and wanted to use people as slaves. That's what it's all about. It's because they're lazy and greedy and murderous. That brings to mind, too, I have a friend that has a child that is half Native American. If you have a quarter and even an eighth in some tribes, that child, even half blood, can get, or a quarter, yeah, 20% Native or 13 in some, just a drop but even with that, that child can get dividends from the uh, uh, Indian nation, you know, or land, whatever. You know, not that somebody probably want to go live on a reservation just to get land. I was offered that, and it's like, well, even up into Canada, it's like, yeah, well, I want to come and visit, you know. I want to live close, which I do live really close to Canada. But anyway, it was the tribes that were mixed with Spanish and African blood that had a warring nature towards the indigenous that were already here, that were elected and paid by the English and the French and enlisted into the Civil War to come north and wipe out uh, the Aboriginal people of the Americas, to keep it all quiet so nobody would ever find out that you, who are mixed among all the people here now, are actually, maybe you're the Canaanite bloodline, and maybe you stand behind these wars. So that's who you are. So you really don't belong here in the land that was promised to the seed of David and the Christ people. That's where I'm coming from with that. So if you don't feel like you're American, get the fuck out of here, because we don't fight in our country. And I don't want us to go fight anywhere else either. Let them fight their own battles. They were the very first bloodline that picked it. In fact, when Jesus himself told the Pharisees, the priests of the Jews at that time, when they were called priests, before they called themselves teachers or rabbi like Christ's title, before they stole that title or implemented it through their language and their added vowels to original Assyrian languages, be, before they added extra vowels to make things seem like they weren't. Christ told these people that he was from the line of David and that he actually had the Christ spirit, it had God's spirit in him, that the Pharisees and Sadducees, but the Pharisees he was talking to didn't abide by the Holy Spirit that God had given everybody, and they picked up stones and tried to kill him, and he escaped through the crowd. Well, nothing much has changed, has it? The people with God in their hearts and listening to the Holy Spirit within us are telling them we aren't the people that picked up those stones. You are, and you're still doing it. You didn't listen then when it said the Spirit of God would rise in mankind, and you don't abide by that Holy Spirit that's in everybody. And God's talking to everybody, nobody's secluded. So it's not like they don't know. They're fully aware of what they're doing. And it's all about control and greed. So nobody, not no normal human being is going to look at this earth like one spot is more important or more sacred to another human being. That's ridiculous. It's not a natural feeling. If you have that in there somehow, it's warped thinking. I'm not saying they don't have cows and honeybees over in Asia and Europe or Asia Minor or wherever. I'm sure they do. I know they do, especially in India. But they don't milk their cows, so milk. No, there's no dairy farms in Jerusalem. There might be one. I don't know. That's a good question. They probably buy their milk from Russia or maybe Croatia. But it's definitely not out in the desert because you don't have any grass for those cows to graze on. There's grain in the Ukraine, but that's not the land that they're actually fighting about as a holy piece of land. Sounds like hell to me. I mean, I lived in Phoenix and different places in Arizona for a few years, and I've been to Death Valley, the lowest place on the planet, and there just was no dairy farms around there. Land of milk and honey. Yeah, sure. Tell me another one. Mean the seed of Satan in the desert? And that's maybe why Christ said, "Don't look for me over in the desert." He said, people will say, "I am here and I am there," and don't go there. That's exactly what he said. Do not look for me in the desert. Wow. And a story on that one, too. See, I can spit out all these because I studied it. I study it like word for word and used to just read for entertainment to my kids the stories and the families. That's the way the stories were passed on orally anyway. Just like I'm speaking to you right now is exactly how it was done in ancient times. That's why I don't rarely I'll look up scriptures or share, but I know them all so well. Somebody else can look up exactly where they are. What I'm saying is the truth, and you can verify it. I've already studied it. So I'm just giving you the facts. And I don't care who says what. I've determined everything within my whole soul all my life. And a lot of people don't operate like that. Their soul wasn't a part or is not a part. They can say it is. People like, oh, I'm spiritual. Oh, yeah, okay. But you can't hear me, you can't feel me, can't see what I'm saying, but you're really spiritual. Yeah, okay. Tell me another one. I'll wait. I'm waiting for their crap, their daily shit. I heard it say too that the strained flesh was the fallen. Well, yeah, when women are raped by people that invade, yeah, that would be women being taken, the daughters of men, whoever those men were, and whoever the bloodline that did that was, to no fault of the women. Although some of them, from what I understand, fell with them. But, and yeah, that's strange flesh, and then we'll call them aliens and whatever. But Satan was cast in human form. He was cast down to learn his lesson, to have to live hundreds of years as a human being and to understand that he was given gifts creational gifts that he just took for granted and thought it's like I always make the scenario of how a baby will, oh, and I hate this shit. I'll see like a little toddler on uh oh, like a TikTok clip or something, and some little yapping imp about 3 or so yelling at people like large people. It's like, "Will you shut the fuck up, you little brat?" You know, I really detest that. It is not funny to watch. I mean, maybe once you'll see a little boy or a girl and they're yapping back at their parent, but that might be funny, like, and make you chuckle like once, but to actually put it out there like that's some humorous type of thing, it's detestable. You tell that little brat to shut the up. You don't talk to your adults like that, you little twerp, you know? I'm really serious on that. That's disgusting. There's nothing funny in that whatsoever. The day I let some little person get combative with me. Wow. I'm sure that's how God felt with Satan. Oh, so you think you made me? Okay. Well, you have fun in your flesh rotting suit. You can control the whole thing. Have fun. But what you gonna do when you run out of skin? Oops. Yeah. Can you do that better than me? God says. Yeah. Let's see ya. Gotta tell these Satanists, hey, you're brilliant. You know all about alchemy, the science of everything. Make a raindrop. Just one raindrop. Make some air, not with God's material that already exists. You manifest it by yourself. You're brilliant and you want people to fight and kill and the whole world to be like that. Well, it's time things change. So, yeah, I think over there on the Gaza Strip, they can start picking up stones instead of piling up. That's what Doug said. Instead of putting them in piles, they can just start using them against each other. That sounds appropriate. That goes for the rabbi in the United States here. Pack up your little bags, put your yarmulke on, and go throw your fucking rocks at your neighbors. And pray to God that the natives in my nation don't rise against you for the idiosyncrasy of it all. You better, because you're crossing more lines. And you know what? The United States, run by the big banksters that are of that bloodline, that Canaanite bullshit, would love nothing more for all the white people in the United States to turn against each other because of political and religious beliefs. They would love it if you got out there and started acting like an animal like that. It's exactly what they want. What better control? Um, it's like if you can make somebody lose their temper and get all animalistic, who's in control? You know? But if you have somebody that wants to fight and you just walk away or get in your car and drive away, who are they going to fight with? Well, these people need to fight their own battles. They started it with their rocks. They can finish it with their rocks. Rock on, Israel. Cousins. Yeah, rock on, cousins. Cuz you never learn your lessons. Satan in the flesh. Thinking you're so enlightened. Oh, you're so knowledgeable. I would really want to learn from you. Glad you weren't my parents. I had ones like that. Stupid enough to believe in wars of any kind and to actually support them and call for other people to put their children out there on the line. You have screws loose, major screws loose in your soul. I call for the Christ Spirit to go in every single person practicing any of the Abrahamic religions. Well, everybody on earth feels the Holy Spirit, whether they want to admit it or not. It's just that they don't want to admit it and they're lying to you. You know what right and wrong is, so when you hear something wrong, you don't have to wonder what their reason is behind it. That part doesn't matter. It might matter to you, so that's your bloodline. That's the God you serve, is not the Almighty, but the fake, the true Antichrist. And the Jewish are Antichrist. Why do Christians want to be Jews? Can you answer me that? Because you haven't studied enough to know the truth? You wouldn't know the truth if it was sitting right in front of your face. Most of you. There isn't a side to pick when they're both evil. Wouldn't you agree? All these women my age, or, moms and grandmas and that type, how about if I make you a deal? How about you keep saying support our troops and support Israel if you're willing to battle with the Native American women your age for the land that you live on? How's that? You want to fight them first? I don't think you do, but I just wondered how you actually feel about that. If you think that war is not a big deal and keeping one's composure for every other human being on this planet isn't a very, very important thing, even if we're passing around a meme, support our troops or the rest of your bullshit. If you don't think that's a big deal, then why should anybody have to honor you within broken treaties on stolen land? So everywhere you walk doesn't belong to you, but you would call to fight in another country. Well, just some things for people to think about. What if? Let's see. Warrior versus couch potato. That should say it all. Dancer versus couch potato. You know. Yeah, last night my streaming when the things wouldn't load and I missed a bunch of videos I would have liked to have watched. I might get caught up, but yeah. Poor internet service, and then too when we have cloudy weather and it was raining, it does get worse. It affects it. So, satellite dish. I do think it's funny about Doug. He knows the truth about everything. Then he'll have times where he'll pretend he doesn't and say something just like so adverse, like to try and annihilate me. And it is a bit like crazy. I don't know if it's actually funny or um, it's just so whack. It's like Robin's Hood was talking about when people know they already lost, but they'll keep trying right up to the very end. It's like that's so ridiculous, but that yet there it is, you know. It's like if you have okay, it'd be a time like if I made a treat back in the day for my kids if I baked or whatever. And like my youngest really didn't care because he liked just regular food more than he did any treats, but it would really affect my older one if he was forced only to eat like uh say if they both had cake, Luke would trade his broccoli for John's cake, and they were both happy doing that. So I couldn't use like the threat of a treat against John, but I could with Luke. Like, you're not going to have that if you're acting like this, But you can say that to the Canaanite bloodline, like, no, the promised land isn't yours. You are the branches that got cut off. Why is that? Because you murder. That's why, and you won't stop it. Or you call for other people to fight your wars, and you just won't stop. When most of the people on the planet are peaceful, then you have ones that aren't, that want to enlist your children and turn them into murderers. Even the women, that's what they want. A worldwide military state under their rule. That's why I'm fighting so hard against it. That's why I'm bringing in the natives on this. And I'm not the only one who feels like this either. I'm just saying the rabbi in my country, you might want to reconsider the words that you're using living in another person's country. Go support the country you support then. Especially these politicians that have dual citizenship and the District of Columbia where our White House sits. Get the hell out of here. You're not a part of our country. Never were, and you never will be. Go where you belong, Canaanite. We don't fight here. You do. We don't want this anymore. It's a fact. So, people, you do not want to be into Judaism. If you're Christian, that is not who your king is. you know. We might have some interruptions here, but that's okay. We'll work through it, you know. Doug's coming in. He's got mud, I'm sure, on his feet. Just one moment. Hello, I'm making a video. Doug. Hey, Doug. I'm making a video. Come here. Yeah. Hello? Oh, anyway. He's been out there playing in the mud. Everything is muddy. He's got boards down in front of the shop like a runway. We've had so much rain. So yeah, his shoes are all full of mud, I'm sure. I heard him stomping them off. He takes them off outside a lot now. But yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. So anyway, he was out there getting chains and blocks and things ready to get his tractor out for when the neighbor shows up. So if they do, hopefully. Yeah. We live in a real low-lying area. There's hills all around us and lots of water, lots of natural springs um, with the creek and ponds and a lot of water. Lakes just right over there. Or actually a mouth of the river that goes into the lake. And another river flows through that and flows into another lake. And a lot of the water system in the land of milk and honey, we have all the water. The majority of it, the fresh water. I would say that's pretty blessed land. Just thinking, I would say, what's more of a blessing, sand or water? Water would probably be for life, probably a promise of a blessing, not a desert. Don't look for him in the desert. He's not there. And they don't believe in him. They know the Holy Spirit was coming down into mankind. Their scriptures tell them so. But they don't want to listen to the Spirit that's talking to them in there. Like when I speak and you know something's just right on the money, your heart tells you so. They know this too, but for money, they're ignoring it. Or for patronizing their bloodline. That isn't Christian. And it's the Christians that are suffering. It's the people in the civilians with God in their heart that have nothing to do with this war that they've waged upon all humans. Because you're the goy, spoke about in the Bible, the Gentiles that get the Holy Spirit first. They had it in the beginning, and they were the ones that knew but turned away. And they're the synagogue of Satan, and the devil is their father. He's the father of lies. And they're going on with their lies on a daily basis. It won't be long. Well, if some of you knew what the old pump sounded like, this is the new one. It's a lot quieter. We're going to insulate it and enclose it, and then you won't even hear it. Probably about 30 more seconds, I'd say. I thought that was funny. He was real. Is that B for victory or is that peace? How about this? The natives still have them red hand marks like on their horses. That's for the blood that was shed in the missing natives and the families that were tore apart and the tribes that have been scattered, families that were never put back together. Those are for the missing children and women that go missing off the reservations all the time, and the authorities do not look for them like they would somebody else. That's what those red hand marks mean. I have one more with you, or in front of you if you don't smoke. I still have a hard time. I'll never respect anybody that can call for another person to go to war. I don't care if it was a 80-year-old man. Go fight it yourself. You wouldn't care if one of my grandchildren went, even a girl. You don't care, and you want me to care about you. I just can't do that. Only enough to try and talk about it, to try and reach somebody. So as far as my concern's going to go there because you're murderers. But adults that still are in that frame of mind. Wow. Reminds me of like 3-year-olds arguing over a toy. You know, you can't share. Like you'll play with it for 5 minutes and then you can't work that out. Little people can work that out. I mean, sure, with some guidance, but they can work it out. There's people like me that worked with like 30 or more students at a time and didn't have any problems within little minds, little people that could grasp how to get along. Little people. And adults can't do it. Says a lot. was gonna try and get Doug to say something to y'all, 'cause he always has something in there. Something, even if it's adverse or weird, it's always something. Well, it's like I was telling him, he was talking about the people, like the flat earthers compared to the globe earthers, and I said, you're all whacked. It's the spirit of people's souls, and it has nothing to do with the flesh, that God's trying to get people to understand the shape of where we live. Has no bearing on it. It doesn't matter. This is just temporary compared to eternity, you know?
Fingers and feet got
Oh,
cold.
hey, say hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
What do you got to say for 'em?
What do I got to say?
Yeah.
Oh, we just lift about half a ton of wood here in half an hour.
Oh.
Getting my back back.
Yeah.
Shoulders kept falling out. Got nothing to hold them in.
Oh no.
That's much they've fallen out every day. Now I'll put them back together now. No muscles. Yeah, about a month of cutting wood.
I was just telling them about what we were talking about when I was telling you that the shape of the planet doesn't matter. It's our souls. This is just temporary. Eternity is forever. So the shape of the planet within that scheme really doesn't matter.
I hope they can fathom that.
That's my point.
It's all about.
I was also trying to get them to fathom the part where the rabbis should be careful what they say when they're living on Native American land, calling for people's children to go and fight their wars,
Yeah.
and how they should just pick up stones like they did to begin with.
Fix America first.
Exactly.
Worry about the other shit if you ever get America fixed.
Yeah.
That's the plan. The real plan. And Biden's not real. He's a puppet.
Yeah.
Biden-Bama.
We have to be careful. There's certain things we can't talk about, like these things and other stuff, because
Oh,
if
the
we do,
Jabberoni?
yeah,
The
'cause
bioweapon Jabberoni?
because I don't want to get it. If I get a strike, my channel's,
Gotcha.
you know, so we gotta be careful, you know.
We won't talk about worldwide hoaxes and lies. No.
Right. No, I was talking about the liars. Yeah.
Oh, we can talk about the liars.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the hoaxers then.
Yeah.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
Very few of them. They're like weeds. You go out in the garden, they pop up here, and you gotta just cut them off.
I like use a hoe.
Ho, ho, ho.
Brings things to mind. Yeah, I'd like to take her head and take a weed out with it. Either one of them, you know who I'm talking about.
Do they know that tobacco cures COVID?
Damn it.
I
have
mean,
I have no idea. You might have just gave my channel a
sorry. I retract that.
We don't know anything about it.
You know?
Is that what you heard?
They come on Facebook.
That might be the enemy, everybody. Right there. Or not.
Nah.
It wasn't misinformation because I'm retracting that. I don't even discuss it.
Didn't Elon Musk buy Google? Anybody know out there?
I've tried to look it up, and my malware blocker was blocking the pages. So I don't know. I've asked. I haven't heard anybody say anything about it.
I've seen that one post, bought out.
Yeah.
Gonna take it away from the fascists. Can you say that?
You better read the policies, you know.
I believe in free speech.
Yeah, so do
What
I.
happened to it? Where did it go?
Well, in my opinion, All these people that have stopped people like me from speaking the truth on here, they're all treasonous.
Yep.
In my country, I don't care if it's a company that works out of another country. In my land, when you do something illegal, you don't have immunity.
That's why we have the Constitution.
That's right.
Atonement won't work if you're treasonous. That
Yeah.
does not work for
Yeah,
atonement. Will
exactly.
not work. I don't care.
What
We
was
have the
that one
Constitution.
movie? Was it French Connection or two?
That was
Number two?
Mel Gibson.
Oh, okay. It was when the dude's like, I have diplomatic immunity.
He
He
let the
takes out
harpoon
his,
go. The
yeah,
harpoon on the ship.
yeah, yeah. Wow.
A whale harpoon.
Yeah, so much for your immunity. Yeah. Diplomatic,
I
not
have diplomatic immunity.
not viral.
He was a Dutchman or something, or Amsterdam dude.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of
What
that
a
show.
great show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever show it was. I just remember that one part.
Yeah, Mel Gibson's one of the few patriots in Hollywood.
You know,
He is.
somebody
There's only like 3 of them. One
standing
died.
up for our
Yeah.
constitutional rights like freedom of speech. And all the people that have stopped us are treasonous, and hopefully they all will be incarcerated for their crimes
Right.
against humanity.
And they threatened to kill, verbally threatened him to kill him because he won't shut up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Putting a hit out on him because he's telling the truth about all the Hollywood,
Yeah.
all the pedophiles and the people that sold their souls, all of Hollywood. Another hoax, another lie. Everything you know is a lie. Everything you've been taught is a lie
Yeah.
for decades, centuries, 6,000 years from what I heard. 6,000 years.
Huh.
The new slavery is different, but it's slavery.
Oh, yeah.
It's what it is. You're being controlled.
Oh, I know it's been for thousands of years because, like I told people, they don't think that's how we need to start thinking for our children hundreds of years in the future. Like this has been planned against us for hundreds of years, if not thousands,
Yeah.
because they don't think in 20-year increments, or they don't think when my child grows, they think for their children and their blood money that they've collected for centuries now. They have thought into the future for their offsprings, that they inhabit those blood, that vessel, those skin suits, because they are the Nephilim. That's who they are.
Yeah, and the Wefers, they have taken it to the final stage. That's all true. WEF, they take it to the
Oh,
final stage.
yeah, they don't stop.
They're Nazis.
Yeah.
They are. Goebbels in there and Clauses. They're all in. They're all blood. They're all related. They're Nazis. WEF.
What you got to do when you're talking on YouTube for their policies, you almost have to pretend you're talking to a 2-year-old that wouldn't understand like WARSs or VAXs and that type of thing. You have to actually like like
Code.
yeah, and syrup it and water it down.
Sugar coated.
Yeah, so like oh yeah, we don't have freedom of speech. Yes, we do, and I want the people that are responsible, even the people on YouTube that are responsible. As adults, we have a decision to make anytime we hear something, to accept it or deny it.
Yeah.
That's our discernment as adults, and we have that right. That's a human right. You're going to let somebody tell you you do not have the right to speak back at me any way you want to speak it.
I just got a message when I checked my messenger there. They sent me a post from posted to Facebook. Sorry, Facebook member, we had to uh, disallow your post because even though it's true and in fact check true, we can't allow it on our Facebook channel because the people already know this and it's not good for them to really
What?
they really don't understand this. So we had to disallow your post.
Oh, wow. I'm not going to ask you what it's about because it's probably.
It didn't say anything about what it
uh,
was. It's just there.
Oh,
That's what
oh,
they told
yeah.
them.
They
We
don't
disallowed
tell
your
you
post.
what it. Yeah, it's like on here. If I make a boo boo, they're not going to tell me what I did wrong. They're just going to ace me out.
That's the agenda. Can't post that.
Yeah.
Why? Um, we'll have to review it. Oh, they
They don't
never do.
care if I'm talking to my daughter in law, friend, my grandchild, making a document for my life, a diary. They don't care.
No, it's the algorithms. It's the AI that's
Mm,
controlling it. You might as well. You'd be better off with chimpanzee as fact checkers because you know
yeah.
you're safer. They're smart.
Yeah.
I heard that one too.
Uh-huh.
The guy posted that. Chimpanzees. They work for peanuts.
What is it? There's the fourth monkey. There's hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. And then what's the other one? Like they don't know anything. Now they don't even use their senses. So that's like the fourth monkey, the dummied down version,
That brings up another the Seven Monkey. Remember that movie?
vaguely.
Seven Monkeys. That was radical.
I don't know if everybody can hear you very
Oh,
clear,
about
but
mind control.
I'm gonna say goodbye and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Have a really good night or day wherever you're at. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. America, baby. America first. Want to say bye, Doug?
Bye, Doug.
Bye, Doug.